On a Saturday night in Greektown 2 summers ago, Marcus Alston and his friends were downtown celebrating a friend's upcoming wedding. The night began like any other.
Pretty typical. We were just clowning around, having fun.
But as police body cam would show, the fun came to an end after 2 a.m. when officers flooded Monroe Street trying to clear out the remaining crowds. As he was walking to his car, Marcus said officers turned him and his friends around and sent them in another direction.
They told us to go back the other way, but before we even got all the way back around, the melee happened.
Push him out. Get out the way. Get out the way, or you're going to be in a knockout zone.
Officers were seen pushing back groups of young men and women still lingering.
That's when the police tried to pat one of them down, and from there, it just broke. They just started putting hands on them.
At first, Marcus says officers focused their attention on a different group that was downtown that night. Body cam shows a team of officers descending on 2 men wearing ski masks, delivering repeated punches and knee strikes. And the punches continued, even knocking off an officer's camera. At the same time down the street, another group of officers had surrounded Marcus and his friends. This man pulled down from behind by an officer who, seconds later, begins delivering repeated punches. Then, Officer Kyrie Roberts is seen shoving a different man to the ground before another man was thrown down too. It was then that Marcus can be heard demanding officers' badge numbers.
They got attacked by the police. Usually, when we see something like that, it's getting swept under the rug, so I just spoke up.
And after he did, an officer was seen grabbing onto him, pushing Marcus back before shoving him into the middle of the street.
I get up off the ground, and then it's lights out. I never see the punch coming.
Y'all ain't got to do that, dog.
The punch was delivered by Officer Kyrie Roberts, and it knocked Marcus out. Once he was on the ground, officers did not render aid, according to a DPD investigation. Instead, they yelled at him to get up.
Get up! Get up! Don't walk with my partner. Get up! I didn't do that. Go! Go! I didn't do that.
Seconds later, Officer Roberts would leave Marcus in the street, and not long after, turn off his body camera. No officer could be seen rendering aid, including a supervisor, Sergeant Scott Barrick, who would later be reprimanded. Marcus says he was later diagnosed with a concussion and herniated disc.
Egregious, offensive, unnecessary, unprovoked.
Johnny Hawkins is Marcus's attorney, who filed suit against the city alleging police brutality.
Kyrie Roberts, he's a bully, and he enjoys his job. That's the way it looked to me.
After the punch, Detroit police would suspend Officer Roberts and launch an investigation, which, in July, concluded that he punched Marcus without justification. Even worse, it found that Roberts was not truthful to investigators, claiming that he saw Marcus strike an officer in the head with an unknown object before punching him. But video showed no evidence an officer was struck with anything. Roberts also claimed he saw Marcus raise his left hand with a closed fist. But look at the video. It shows, and DPD agrees, Roberts wasn't making a fist at all.
I wouldn't want him on my roster. That's a clear liability.
But he wasn't terminated.
He didn't give them a chance.
With internal charges looming, Roberts resigned from Detroit on September 16th. Then, just 10 days later, there he was being sworn in at East Point PD, just down the street.
Why would East Point want to hire an officer that Detroit was preparing to fire?
Again, I'm not going to comment on that.
We had questions for East Point's Public Safety Director, George Rohib, who we found at last week's City Council meeting.
He was found to have used excessive force. He was found to have lied. He was found to have left a man in the street that he had knocked unconscious. Why was this an officer you wanted to hire?
Again, I will not comment on that. It's under review right now.
Rohib would not say if he knew about the internal charges lodged against Roberts, but acknowledged he did not see the video of the punch when he hired him. In fact, the very first time he ever saw it was when we showed it to him.
Wish you'd seen the video before you hired?
Well, everyone makes mistakes, and, we've taken a lot of chances on officers, and actually they're really good officers.
He shouldn't be protecting and serving anybody anywhere. You're unleashing them from one bad situation to another city that you can open up a whole nother floodgate of anything to happen.
Wayne County's prosecutor declined to bring criminal charges against Officer Roberts, saying there was insufficient evidence. We did leave messages for Roberts through the East Point Police Department and his union representative, but did not hear back. I also called East Point's mayor, Monique Owens, and city manager, Mariah Walton, for comment, but neither returned my calls.
So obviously he's now an officer in East Point. They've seen the video. Can this be reversed?
Well, that's a question that is actively being asked right now. So in Michigan, when you leave a police department, the state gives you a license. And once you leave a department, your license is essentially turned off. Before you go to another department, there's supposed to be an effort to make sure you are in good standing, that you can and should be an officer. His license got turned back on, but there's a question being asked by the state right now as to whether or not it should have been. That investigation is ongoing, and ours will continue tomorrow at 6.
Yeah, we definitely think a fail-safe like that is automatically in place, but
it doesn't always work, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why we have you.
Yeah, it is.
Among
Ross
others.
Jones. There you go.
Thank you.
All right.
Not only that, if we are going to go back to the old way that Aurora Police is going to be policing, I'm going to be watching each and every one of your fucking officers, and I'm going to hold them accountable.
It's DJ K. Dot, the party.
You're now rocking with your DJ K. Dot, the party.
We get ready to take over.
Yeah, baby.